Hello! So today I want to share with you all the games I've beaten so far this year. Now I meant to do this video back in June, halfway through the year, but I just never got around to it. So we're going to do it now. Here we go. Okay, the first game is, of course, Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring may be possibly my favorite game of all time. I played it for something like close to 200 hours or over 200 hours, and I must have beat it. Well, I got every ending in the game, so that's in that about 6 times. I love it. Incredible game. Next game up is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Wow, this game is incredible. The original is one of my favorite games of all time, and now so is this one. I beat this a total of 12 times and never got bored with it. And I still didn't even unlock everything. It was just that much fun to just keep replaying. 10 out of 10.
Not bad, right?
Okay, then I followed that up with, of course, Resident Evil 3. Well, I loved Resident Evil 3. I beat it on the Dreamcast back when it released. And I liked this remake. I know some people had issue with the length of it, I guess. I didn't mind the shorter game, actually. So I had no issue with it whatsoever. It was a fun action Resident Evil game. Okay, a game I was highly anticipating, Bramble: The Mountain King. I did a whole review on this game. I pretty much loved everything about it. Listen, there were a couple of things control-wise that were a little iffy and this and that, but you know what? I'm not going to nitpick. I loved the game. I loved the setting, the graphics, just everything. I am going to replay it in the fall as we get closer to Halloween. It's just kind of a cozy, fun little fairy tale horror game. So welcome to the arcade corner. This is where I'm going to talk about all the arcade games I played and beat that I don't have a physical copy of, starting with Metal Slug. Now, Metal Slug I've beaten before, but this year I played it with my boyfriend who's new to gaming, and we had a blast. So I highly recommend, if you're getting someone into video games or they're curious about it, this game is so much fun. It's such a blast. There's always something happening on screen. And the fact that you're playing together and you can continuously feed credits and no one, gets left behind or has to stop playing is a big plus. And of course, it's just, you're just moving left and right and shooting and jumping, and the occasional grenade. Highly recommend Metal Slug for getting someone. You wouldn't think about Metal Slug as a game to get people into video games, but trust me, this is not the first time I've played Metal Slug with someone who's not very familiar with games, and they just had a blast. Okay, same with Metal Slug X. We went through it together. We had a blast. It was so much fun. We have plans to continue. So we did Metal Slug 1, then X, and then of course we'll do 3, 4, 5, and so on. Highly recommended. Love both of these games. Next up on the arcade corner, we have Thunder Dragon 2. I've never played Thunder Dragon 1, and I've never played Thunder Dragon 2 until it was released on the arcade archives. I never even emulated it. It was so much fun. It was not quite a bullet hell, so it was a little easier than those kind of games. You know what? I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite shmups to play, but it was a lot of fun. I don't regret what are those, $7.99 I think on PSN. I don't regret paying that at all. It was a fun game.
Oh my god, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you this time.
Next up is Sunset Riders by Konami.
Konami.
Now, I don't think I'd ever beaten this game before, but I had actually played it in the arcades and I loved it. And I think there were some home ports back in the day that I just really wasn't into. I was sort of always like that though. If there was an arcade game and I liked it, I was always, if it came to a home console port, I was always like, well, the graphics aren't as good and it's not as fun and as flashy. So anyway, to have it modern day to play it and play through it all, it was so much fun. I played through it solo and just had a blast just by myself. It's just so bright and colorful and just a lot of fun. Okay, next up on the arcade corner is a game I actually do have a physical copy of, and that is Batsugun Saturn Tribute Boosted. And technically that is a port of a Saturn game, which is a port of an arcade game, so it still counts for the arcade corner. And from what I understand, the Saturn port was identical to the arcade port, and then this one, you know, has extra soundtracks, extra info on the sides of the screen. It's a vertical shooter, so you get a lot more in there. And I loved it. It was hard, very hard. I think Batsugun is considered one of the first bullet hell shooters, so the bullets are a lot more faster and a lot more of them. So it was hard. I'll probably play through it a few more times and see how good I can get. And finally, on the arcade corner, another physical game, Akai Katana Shin, made by Cave, so I had to get it. I had actually never played this before. I'd never emulated it. I'd never even seen what it looked like before. So I beat it once. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite shooter of Cave's. I love a lot of their games. Don't get me wrong. It's a really fun, solid game. But if I'm ranking them against other Cave games that I love, it's not my favorite. But I will play it again. I think I'd go through it with the other character and just see how well I can do. And now we're leaving the arcade corner and we're getting into bed, because these are the games I beat in bed. Starting with Plants vs. Zombies. Now, I played through the DSi version on my 3DS, and I don't know, I must have beat it 4 or 5 times. Just as soon as I would finish, I would just start it up again until I fell asleep. It's just so easy to get into the groove with that game and just keep playing it and playing it. And it's just a fun game. Okay, next in bed we have animatic story game Card Captor Sakura, a game I had never heard of, but got a fan translation release. It previously was Japanese only, and it's a really fun game. I've never even seen the anime as well, the Card Captor Sakura anime, but this was a fun, I don't know how to say it, lightweight game, or just a bunch of mini games with little story cutscenes and little kind of talking head visual novel scenes. Nothing too demanding. That's why it was perfect to play it in bed as I'm falling asleep. It's actually really cool. I would play through it again, and I like the visuals. You know, it's from that era of, I don't know, early mid 90s anime, I guess. I love that art style. So it was a lot of fun. Nothing too deep, nothing too crazy. In fact, I don't know if I could even remember the story. But, you know, it was just about playing through it. It was an easy breezy game. Okay, we're out of bed now, and we're on to Vampire Survivors. Now, Vampire Survivors is always being updated, it feels like, with more DLC and more things to do in it. And so I'm going to count this because I had cleared everything, even the up until and including the Moon something DLC. Moon Rider, Moon Savior, I don't know. But I'd done everything in the game that I know of. I know there's a lot of secrets in there too, but I cleared all the, the quests and unlocked all the characters. So I'm going to count that. So Vampire Survivors, let me talk about it real quick. I love that game. When I read about it, I had some reservations. I thought, oh, this sounds silly, and just moving a character around while it automatically attacks. You know what? I did have a problem with that when I played the Xenoblade games. Or I played one of them. I can't remember which one, but in the Xenoblade games, you don't control your attacks. Your people just run up and start attacking on their own, and I could not get into that. However, I could here for some reason. I don't know. But it was great. I love it. I'll probably get it on the Switch as well. I know it's on the Switch now. I played it on Steam. And it was great. I think the Switch version is going to have co-op. Maybe both of them are. I don't know. But I think that sounds like a fun time as well. So yeah, Vampire Survivors. I love it. And you know, once we get give it some time and get a few more DLC releases, I'll pick it up again. Okay, we got 2 more games to go. Next one is We Love Katamari Reroll and Royal Reverie. I love the Katamari games. You can't see him, but the Prince is here with us today. I love those games. And so I'm so excited that the first 2 got a remaster, re-release at a higher resolution. And I don't think I'd ever actually played the Royal Reverie, which was super short. It was just kind of blink and it was done. But, you know, I liked it. I really think that the first game is my favorite. I think the PSP version was pretty good. And there was one on PlayStation 3. I can't remember the names of either of those, but those were fun as well. But, you know, the second one was fun. It's just not one of my favorites. But regardless, I love it. I love the series. I love the music. Really cool game. And finally, we have Spiritfarer. This copy is sealed because I bought the... originally, I bought it digital on a whim. I'd never heard of it. And I loved it so much that when it got a physical release, I grabbed that. You know, in 2020, everyone was playing Animal Crossing, and I almost was as well. I almost got started on that, but I didn't, and instead I started playing Spiritfarer. And then, you know, after a while, I just kind of dropped it and never finished it. And then this year, my boyfriend, out of the blue, said, hey, you know that game with the ship and the animals? And he was like, you know, he wanted to start playing it. So he was playing it, and once he started playing it, I remembered how much fun I had in it, and I went back into my game and finished it. I had 135 hours on Spiritfarer. I was really into it, and a lot of times I would, you know, it was 2020, it was an awful time for everyone, but late at night, I'd put this in, take some deep breaths, run around, you know, there's no time limit, there's nothing killing you, there's nothing to kill, I don't think. Just like Animal Crossing, it's a part farm sim, part life sim, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm really happy I finished it. I'm really glad I went back in and finished it up. It was good to kind of finalize it and be done with it. So that's all the games I've beaten so far this year. And you know, this year I'm really making a real effort to play through all my games and beat them, finish them, instead of just playing them for a few hours and putting them back on the shelf, trying to work through my backlog. So I will have another one of these videos at the year end, and I want to know what games you guys are playing and beating, you know, and maybe which one's your favorite. I'm gonna save my favorites for also another video at year end, my year end favorites, my top games and all that. So I'm not gonna share mine right now, but you could probably guess which ones I raved on, which ones were my favorite. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.